Hi, I'm IfDots, and I wanted to do a short video on Jamuary this year. Like a bunch of other people, I did Jamuary this year, so I did a short song or worked on a song every day for the entire month of January, except for January 1st, because I was out until 3 a.m. on December 31st, and I forgot that Jamuary existed until January 2nd. But I made 31 short songs or short snippets. I did a variety of things. I started off just working on my Digitone 2, which I'm sure you've seen on the channel, and then I switched and I did a bunch of things on my iPad. The iPad stuff has been really fun. I have the Korg IM1 there, and all of the sounds from that are fantastic. I've sampled those so I can use them in other places also, which is really nice. And near the end of the month, I started using my SP404 Mark II, which you've probably also seen if you've seen me streaming, but usually I use it as an end of chain effect on the Digitone because I'm lazy. But there's a lot of other stuff that it can do, and there's a lot of, I really like the way that it pitch shifts. So it was really cool to basically explore the limits of my instruments and have to do something every day. 2 of these days were I was making something for a specific contest because I'm part of Freebeats Patreon, and I'm also part of Red Means Recordings Patreon. So I've done a Freebeat Patreon contest song every month for the last however long those have been happening. But Red Means Recordings just started, so I made one. The Red Means Recording one went really poorly, actually. I worked on it for several days, and at the end I was just this is going nowhere. And then I thought of a way to twist it, and I worked on it for an hour and a half, and I was this... Did it work? No. Is it kind of fun? Yeah, it's kind of fun. I think this will be fun for someone to listen to in a stream. So I didn't even label it with my artist name, which is the artist name on this channel. I put my Discord name on it because I just didn't want to deal with, I didn't feel like it was the level that I want to have on this channel. As might be obvious, I make a lot more music than I actually put on the channel, and that's because when you do something like Jamuary, or when you're just making things in general, there's so much art out there. And I think that it's really useful to make disposable art. It's really useful to make art that won't be seen by anyone else, or that you don't feel like you have to show other people. And that's what Jamuary is, at least for me, that's what it's really about, right? You get to practice things. I had one day where my entire Jamuary was just, I was doing Dancing Through Life, which is a Wicked song. So I did Defying Gravity, and then I did Dancing Through Life the next day because I just felt like singing, right? And it was really fun setting up the acapellas and figuring out how to set that up and then listening to all of it. And it's possible that at the end of doing 31 days of music, or 30, I don't know how many days are in January offhand, that's what calendars are for. But it's possible that at the end of the month of music, you'll have something that you want to put out there. It's also very possible that you're just gonna make stuff that's just for you. And that's totally fine. Especially right now, we're in an age where I think joy can be hard to come by, and it's important to do the things that give you joy. And for me, I really enjoy making music, I enjoy listening to music, and I enjoy just being part of that ecosystem almost of people who are making indie music that doesn't really need to like be heard by that many people. It's just the joy of creating. So actually the background music for this video is at the very end of January. I started using the SP404 and I made 4 lo-fi songs on the 31st. And then the day after, I was like, I want to make an album. And 4 songs is like half an album. So I made 4 more. I drank some coffee, which for me has like extreme stimulant effects. And then like 8 hours later, I had another 4 songs. And they're not like amazing songs, right? I wouldn't release them for money. I don't think that anything that I'm making music-wise is like worth people paying for it right now. But I enjoyed making it, and I think that it sounds pretty good. And it's useful to have, and it's fun to listen to. And like, in the end, the vast majority of people here on YouTube and elsewhere aren't people who are getting paid for their art. They're people who are expressing themselves through their art. And I think that that's okay to express yourself through your art and not like devote yourself wholly to your art. There are some songs that I've heard that I'm like, this song is amazing, and it has 5,000 views on YouTube, maybe less. There's like an artist that I just started following because they made a Tiny Desk submission, and they have like they have less subscribers on YouTube than me. And these people are like good musicians. I really enjoy the songs. I don't think that you're following or that like who you're making the music for necessarily even matters, but just as long as you curate your own stuff a little bit. I wouldn't say like overly curate, because then what I've done over the last few years mostly is I've overly curated my music. I will go, I think that this music is bad, and then I don't release it, and then I have nothing that I've released. And even the process of releasing your own music is useful. It like teaches you something about how other people hear your music, and maybe that thing that you thought was bad is actually good, or vice versa. So what I'm gonna try and do this year, assuming that I am able to, there's a whole society collapse happening around me, but assuming that I am able to, is I'm gonna try and release some more music, and we'll see what happens, right? All you can do is try your best, and as long as you're doing that, I don't think there's anything that you should be mad at yourself about. Sometimes your best isn't good enough, and that's okay. And sometimes your best is good enough, and that's great, but it's also okay, right? You don't need to succeed all the time. Everyone who has succeeded has failed a million times before. And that's, I think, what making a piece of music every day reminds me of. I read something, I think it was on Blue Sky, but I don't remember. But I think it was a Tchaikovsky quote, and it's probably misattributed. But it was like, I sit at my piano at 9 a.m. every day, and the muses have learned to be on time, right? So if you get yourself into a habit, and if you just make a lot of stuff, you get into a rhythm, and then it becomes much easier. You just become acclimated to being creative in that way. And then stuff can kind of flow. And in the end, that's a great position to be in. And I have a full lo-fi album. So I'm gonna try and post before January next year. There's the RPM challenge this month, which is make a piece of music for February. I think that's what it is. And because of January, I've kind of already made an album for February, so that's probably... I'm not sure if I'm going to end up tweaking it. I've got a lot of other stuff to do, so it's nice to like dedicate January to music and then kind of wander around and occasionally make music the other months, honestly. But I've really enjoyed, again, the process of just making myself sit down and do stuff for music every day that I can. And I would recommend it. Yeah. I hope you're having as good of a day as you can. And I hope you're safe. And I hope that you're able to make music. That's it. Be well.